Bienvenidos a esta presentación del imperfecto del subjuntivo. This video will discuss how to form the imperfect subjunctive and discuss the irregular verbs you will come across. In the videos named the Subjunctive Mood Part 1 and the Subjunctive Mood Part 2, I discuss when to use the present subjunctive versus the imperfect subjunctive. To form the imperfect subjunctive, there are 3 steps. The first of which is to find the third person plural preterite tense form of the verbs. In other words, the ellos, ellas, ustedes form in the preterite tense. Hablaron, comieron, and salieron are the forms for these 3 verbs. The second step is to remove the RON from these verbs. And the third step simply is to add the imperfect subjunctive endings. The endings are ra, ras, ra, ramos, and ran. The vowel before the nosotros ending will always have an accent mark. In the examples of the verbs above, habláramos, comiéramos, y saliéramos have an accent mark on the vowel immediately preceding the R, AMOS ending. All nosotros forms have an accent mark in this position in the imperfect subjunctive. While technically there are no irregulars in the imperfect subjunctive, as a reminder, a verb is irregular when it does not follow the steps of conjugation, and every verb in the Spanish language follows the 3 steps on the previous slide. The problem that students have is remembering the numerous irregular third-person plural forms of the preterite tense. The 3 groups that are irregular that affect the conjugations of the imperfect subjunctive are I to Y changes in the third person, what I call the Fuji verbs, and the stem changing verbs. I have a video for each of these if you need to refresh your memory. Here is a list of some of these verbs, but there are many in the Spanish language. Practiquemos. If you notice, mi padre quiso que requires a subjunctive because my dad wants someone else to do something. It is a verb of influence. But quiso is in the preterite tense. If it were mi padre quiere que, we'd be using the present subjunctive. Mi padre quiso que requires the imperfect or past subjunctive. And one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video is that the imperfect subjunctive is also known as simply the past subjunctive. Again, the videos, Subjunctive Moods Part 1 and 2 can explain more about when to use the present tense versus the past as far as the subjunctive is concerned. Mi padre quiso que nosotros fuéramos. Mi padre quiso que ellos tuvieran. Tener is an irregular preterite tense verb. Tuvieron is a third person plural. Mi padre quiso que yo fuera. Mi padre quiso que mi madre empezara. Mi padre quiso que tú estudiaras. Mi padre quiso que las chicas escribieran. Mi padre quiso que mi hermano y yo diéramos. Mi padre quiso que yo me duchara. Reflexive verbs are used like any other tense where the reflexive pronoun is placed before the conjugated verb. Mi padre quiso que el maestro llegara. Mi padre quiso que la atleta practicara. Y finalmente, mi padre quiso que nosotros durmiéramos. Gracias por ver esta presentación y te deseo mucho éxito.